Welcome to Soulivity.com's passion-driven interviews with founder Brian Wesley Johnson. Each of these carefully curated interviews is all about supporting you and getting inspired to live your best life today. So let's get started. Here's Brian. Actor Aaron Jennings. Man, I am so glad that you are here with us on Soulivity.com.
Thank you for having me. I cannot thank you enough. I'm so honored. I appreciate you taking the time. It's an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely, my brother. Listen, you come from good stock, as we would say in our
Ah,
community, right?
sure.
Where you come from a long line of successful actors, thespians.
Thank you
Your
for that.
mom and your dad both were successful actors, right?
Yes, are still currently.
Oh,
Still
sir,
currently.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, mom and dad. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. I'd be remiss if I didn't say so. But yeah, they're still working. My mom, in fact, just booked Alex Cross. She'll be working with Aldous Hodge on that show. So
Mhm.
shout out to her, Juanita Jennings. Yeah.
Um, Now, what was it like growing up in that
Mm.
atmosphere?
You know, looking back on it, I think it was just an absolute godsend to now that I'm working in this industry in this field to sort of always be growing up around that. I was always backstage. I was on sets. I would hold book for my parents for auditions. I'd go to them. I go with them to auditions, and so yeah. I mean, it was lovely because they exposed me to the arts world and made sure that I was well versed in that. And they've also just, as a consequence, been very supportive of me and my endeavors. As I've embarked on this journey as an actor myself, and
Right.
I still rely on them and go to them for advice even now.
Wow. I mean, how cool is that, right? I mean, where you have parents that are working professionals
Yeah,
in Hollywood, and they're giving you like, okay, now son, when you go in for this
yeah,
reading, make sure
yeah, for sure, for sure. But I will
exactly
say
that you do
this,
X, Y, and Z, right?
absolutely, and I will say this, and I have to say this. They've always been very supportive of my artistic endeavors. But what I think they've done a really great job of doing is just keeping me humble and grounded in all of it, right?
Mm,
Because it's what they
mm,
do for a living.
right.
And I think oftentimes people look at actors because they see us on TV, and actors maybe can start to feel a certain way because of the certain praise that they may get, and not keep themselves humble and grounded. And I just thank my parents for always reminding me that we're lucky to get the opportunity to do what we love,
Hmm.
but we are not what we do either. And so I
Wow.
think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned from having parents in this industry.
Now let's talk about your journey a little bit. Was acting something that you liked always, or did you have other things that you kind of dabbled in first before you moved over in this professional career?
Sure, yeah. I mean, look, I always flirted with acting. It was
Mhm.
always around me, like I said earlier. However, I was definitely more interested in basketball coming up. That was my first
Ah,
love.
yeah.
I played AAU. I was a freshman on varsity. I
Hmm.
mean, and that at one point was where I was hoping my life would take me.
Right.
I'm only 5'11" now. I say 6 feet at times. So there came a time in my life where I went, you know what? I don't know how much longer I have in this.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but but yeah, I mean, look, I say all that to say, like at 15, 16 years old, I definitely made a concerted effort to really focus on my craft,
Right.
and I haven't looked back since. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Now, I have dear friends of mine that are all actors out
Mhm.
in LA, New York,
Okay.
and you hear the stories of actors perfecting their craft, having to pay their dues
Yeah.
before the important and special roles come along, right?
Right.
What was it like for you, building your professional career? I mean, what were some of those things that people may not know that you were doing along the way?
Well, I'll say first, I'm still building my professional career.
Okay.
It's
I
a
heard
never
that.
ending,
I heard
right?
that.
But with that being said, again, my parents, when I decided to do this, they said, "Hey, make sure that you learn your craft and make sure that you're a student of your craft." And so I did so many readings,
Yeah.
unpaid. I did so many black box theater productions.
Wow. Wow.
Uh, you know, I, I did short films. I've written short films. I took classes. I would do scene study, and
Mhm.
all just to build that foundation,
Right.
um,
Right.
that I now rely on and will continue to rely on as I move forward.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, it's not glamorous. I mean, it's not always glamorous. I mean,
Right.
when we're working, oh wow, you know what I mean? But
Exactly. It's like, you know, Disneyland, right?
mhm,
I'm reaping what I sowed, right?
yes,
You
yes,
know,
absolutely.
as you were talking, I imagined that, we tell people on soulivity.com about, listen, this is all about living a passion-filled and purpose-driven life,
Oh, I
right?
love that. I
And
love that.
so part of that is you got to do what you love,
Mhm,
regardless of the money aspect. You,
yeah.
if you love, if that's how you know, right,
Mhm.
that you really, really love it. And as you were talking, I was like, man, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, you
I mean,
just have
Brian,
this
look,
love.
if I were not on Grand Crew and I weren't being paid to do what I love, I would still be doing what I love. You know
Wow.
what I mean? In some capacity, and it may not look like what it looks like now.
Right.
I'm very grateful for this opportunity that I have now, but
Mhm.
I'd be doing it regardless. And I
Fantastic.
think that's
Wow.
something that I tell people, because now people will come up to me and ask me, if I have any advice for them, and I always say, look, if you can't do anything else, and my dad
Mhm.
used to always say this,
Mhm.
if there's nothing else, if there's something else that you would rather do or you could see yourself doing, then go do that, because
Wow.
this is not for the faint of heart.
Wow.
This is
Right.
a road less traveled, and it's also oftentimes just a really tough journey.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, what keeps me steadfast is my passion, is my belief, um, and that's all I can rely on.
Right. Right. Oh man, I love that. I love that. Now, in addition to, I mean, again, you talked about the non-glamorous part of
Sure.
quote unquote making it, which all my friends who even have done very well, they said, "Man, you never like make it. It's like
Right, right,
you
right,
just
right.
work. You want
Yes.
work. You want to work."
Yeah.
You're doing Grand Crew now, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Sure, sure.
But you have a long, impressive list of other shows that you have been on that I think
Thank
people
you.
don't know about. I mean, some of which even friends of mine. I mean, you probably know some of them.
Oh, wow.
Aquarius with David Duchovny, right? Was
Yes.
one, but you might have known Jay Taylor, who was also on that show as well.
Yes, 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 yes.
You were also on The Magicians. That
Mhm.
was a big sci-fi hit, right? With
Yes.
my dear friend Rick Worthy was also on that
Oh,
show.
man, he's amazing. Amazing, incredible.
And so I think there's a side of this that I think people, and I want you to talk about, which is, you do like Aquarius, everybody said, man, this is going to be a hit.
Yeah.
It's going to be fabulous. David's on. I mean, you got these fabulous actors,
Yep.
and it wasn't a hit.
Right. Oh, yeah.
First of all, I mean, there's probably been other things that you worked on that maybe you felt as though, man, this is going to be big.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but look, I'll say this. I try to just deal with what's in front of me,
Got you. Got you. Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
I even with Grand Crew, I have to be honest in saying that, like, I never went into it with any expectation,
Right.
and I think that's the best way to navigate this
Mm-hmm.
space, navigate
Okay.
this industry,
Mm-hmm.
is just try to remain even keeled and try to remain grateful for the opportunity, and just deal with what's in front of you.
Gotcha. So
Um,
do the work. Do the work.
do the work. The work is what's most important. I'm so grateful to be here sitting with you and talking. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, the work is what's going to last.
Gotcha.
Or carry me through. So
Gotcha.
I tell people all the time, just do the work
Right.
and love the work and be passionate about the work. And I'm up countless hours thinking about the work or thinking about the craft or
Right.
studying my craft.
Right.
Late into the evening. So
Wow.
um, yeah.
Wow. And speaking of great work, let's talk about Grand Crew.
Thank you.
Um, I mean, to those of you who are going to be listening to this interview who may have not seen this yet, it's on NBC. It's a hit series.
Yes. Yes.
It's about black professionals who also love wine, hanging out
Yeah.
at the wine bar.
Wine is black now, baby.
Exactly,
Wine is
right?
black now.
Um,
Yeah.
and the ins and out of navigating life. Now, first, how did the role come about? I mean, I've heard some stories that where you actually tested for some other roles, but then this
Yeah.
role. I mean,
Wow.
what's
Yeah.
the how did this all come about?
So it all came about. I mean, like much like any other project where my agent sent me a breakdown, sent me an audition notice, and I was to be there on, let's say, a Monday, and I got
Mhm.
it over the weekend and read the script and went in initially. I can't remember which role I went in for initially. Excuse me, I think it might have been Noah, perhaps,
Uh-huh.
which is played by the great and fantastic Echo Kellum,
Oh, yeah,
who's wonderful, a wonderful human being, and
absolutely.
just an incredible human being and an incredible artist. I went in for that, and then I felt good. It was like, oh, this feels good. This is fun. I love the script when I first read it. Definitely want to be a part of it for all the reasons that you've named. I mean, obviously, it is an all black ensemble. It's centered around these group of friends who are black who live on the East Side, and that's generally not what you see on TV, especially
Absolutely.
network. I don't know that we've ever really seen that side of LA before,
No,
as inhabited by black people.
no. And see, you're from LA,
I am born and raised in LA. Yes.
and all my mother's family, she's third generation LA. I've not
Oh wow.
seen, yeah, I've not seen anything on
Yeah. Yeah.
this side of LA,
For sure.
maybe other than, like way back Sanford and Son was
Oh,
supposedly
sure.
shot in
Yeah.
Watts, right? Which is
Right.
east.
Right.
But
That's South.
and that's
That's South.
southeast,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I mean, I mean, the cast, the crew, everybody you can see is in sync.
Oh man. I
The
mean,
writing is gives you guys something to really dig into.
yes, yes, and shout out to Phil Augusta Jackson. I mean, I don't
Woo.
know if you know this, and maybe the listeners do, and maybe they don't. But Phil Augusta Jackson, who's the creator and you know showrunner of the show, he actually lives on the East Side, as do I. And he would go to this bar on the East Side and meet with his friends, his group of friends. And this is how the whole idea came about, right? When he met Dan Gore and they decided to sort of to create something, Dan was like, well, what about this, right? Like you have these interesting sort of eclectic group of friends that all meet at this wine bar. You don't traditionally see that. Um, Maybe we should kind of lean into that. And I think Phil does a wonderful job of really highlighting that experience, so it's all really it starts with him and it trickles down.
Wow. You know, again, as you were talking, I'm remembering an interview that Eddie Murphy did. I think it might have been on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno,
Okay.
where he was talking about Boomerang.
Oh, okay.
And Boomerang was like
Classic.
one of the first modern movies
Mhm.
with that featured again black professionals,
Well-to-do
black
professionals. Yeah.
well-to-do black professionals, owners of large companies,
Yes.
right, who
Yes.
had money. And there was this sense and pushback from certain members of the society around, well, is that really real? And it's like,
Mm.
well, actually it is.
It is. Yeah.
There is black professionals, there are black owners, multimillionaires and all that. So he's like, hey,
this is just a story that reflects a part of the Black experience.
Right. And because, being Black is not being monolithic, and
Absolutely.
so,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm grateful for shows that show another part of that Black experience.
Right.
And we don't have to name them, but we know what they are.
Yeah.
And I'm also just super grateful to be and honored to be a part of this story, this show that showcases another side. And I think we need all of those stories.
Do you bring, does it sometimes when you're doing this role, I mean, again, you've probably done all these other roles as well, but
Sure.
this comes home, right? I mean, this is kind of coming home to I mean, we're talking offline about, again, the Black male experience is not monolithic either, right? And that this is showing a different, sensitive, emotionally available and aware side of Black men that
Yeah.
is not something that is the norm, right?
Right.
So you and I have seen that maybe
Yes.
with our parents, uncles, other people who are very like secure emotionally and can express it.
Right. Right.
Do you feel that when you're playing the role of Anthony and coming into this role that like, okay, yeah, I need to make sure of certain things, or is it just, listen, this is who this person is, I've had a similar experience and I'm just bringing that to the table?
Yeah, I'm just bringing that to the table, and for me, it's just important to honor the character and honor
There
the
you go.
story. I try not, again, to be overly concerned with product or even response.
Right.
For me, it's just okay. Well, let's deal in the circumstance right now. Let's deal with the character right now, and I'm honored. And like you said, though, honestly, Brian, like at the same time, it's not hard for me because I do my best to deal in that same way in my actual life, right? Like,
Mm,
I think it's very important for me to be vulnerable,
yeah.
to be loving, to be open and honest, and I just want to, if anything, and I get the chance to do this through the vessel of Anthony. It's just important that I exhibit that.
That's why I wanted to answer you that question, because I
It's a
think
lovely question. Thank you for asking.
again, I do think that um, people need to understand that this is about your passion and the work that's behind it, and that you doing this honors, one, yourself, and then two, honors those that came before you that
Yes.
have made a way for you to do what you do today, right?
And
Be
I
who
think
you are
gives
today.
permission for those who are here today to be who they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, a few months ago, and
Uh-huh.
I heard
Yeah.
that
Uh-oh.
Grand Crew got renewed.
Yes.
So you guys are going to be starting to shoot again, right?
Oh, we're about to end our season.
Oh, wow! See
Right
that?
now.
See?
We're in production right now. Luckily, I'm
Wow!
off today, so I get to talk to you and have this lovely conversation. But yes, no, we're actually going into our 10th episode. We got renewed for 10 episodes. We'll be airing, as I've been told, in March, I believe. And yes, we're bringing it all to a close for the season. Hopefully, we'll get a third. But yeah, it's and honestly, I'm so proud of this season. I mean, I think we definitely had a strong first season, and I think we ended on a strong note.
Right.
And I'm just so proud of how we've kind of carried on through this next season. I'm very, very proud of the work that we're doing. I can't wait for the audience to see it. I think we all are very excited for.
Well, I was going to ask and say, what can we expect? What are some little tidbits that maybe you can share without giving away the whole store?
Well, I'll say this. I think there's a lot more growth of character, and that extends to all characters in this particular season. And this season is super hilarious. And I think we've also done a wonderful job of infusing a lot of heart into this season, and love and yeah. I don't want to give too much away, but you just gotta stay tuned. Yeah, it's gonna be as hilarious as it was, if not more. But there's some really nice grounded moments of truth and love, and it's a nice balance of the two.
And with some clank clank in there too.
Clank, 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 clank. Yes, sir.
Man, listen, I don't want to keep you, but just have one last question for you.
Yes.
Because this revolves around, again, we were talking offline about, the mission of Soulivity.com and supporting people in living their best life through their passion, right? Through what they love to do. For those of the people out here that are pursuing their dreams of success, right? They're either trying to find that passion, or if they know their passion, they're on the road.
Right.
What's some words of wisdom from your perspective that you can share that you've learned along your journey?
Yeah, I would say, and then this is actually in my bio on my Instagram of all things, but to thine own, and to quote the great Shakespeare, to thine own self be true.
Wow. Wow.
And I think that just encapsulates it all.
Wow.
Just
absolutely
trust self. You have your own inner compass. Follow that.
Yeah.
And try your best to surround yourself with people that will honor that and support that. And life is precious, life is short. So just live it for yourself as best as you can, and do your best to treat everyone with love and respect. Yeah.
Well, by the success that you've had, the success that you have today, and the success that I know that you'll have in the future, I can definitely see that you are living your truth. And I can't wait to see what's in store for the next season of Grand Crew. I'll be popping my bottle and watching and clanking along with you guys.
Yes.
But Aaron, thank you. Thank you for being here on Soulivity.com, and much continued success. My brother. Much continued success.
As well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, brother.
We want to thank you for watching Soulivity.com's passion-driven interviews with founder Brian Wesley Johnson. From celebrities to best-selling authors, Soulivity.com is all about inspiring you to live your dreams and create your best life today. We invite you to listen to our other fantastic interviews, with new ones available every single week. Please also visit Soulivity.com and start your journey toward your passion, your purpose, and higher quality living. See you next time. This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this audio is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.